Basically,
Even though there's lots of vacancies, and they're still building it.
the building, that all is new infrastructure that's going in the ground. But they take this brand new plastic pipe, which is supposedly gonna last forever, hook it up to an old metal pipe, which is rotting, or hook it up to an old clay pipe, which is where, and they said, well, the Romans pipes are still there after 4,000 years. Yeah, but they built the last, we don't. Because the assumption was, okay, how many times do most people buy new refrigerators?
Not that often.
They actually, they buy them, they'll buy a new refrigerator every so many years, whereas the old refrigerators were built to last for decades. New refrigerators are built to last for years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the same way that when the people built, okay, I had an uncle that was the engineer for Highway 71, and they'd say, you know, why in the world did that thing, which basically could have been like this, and he said, because we got paid by the mile. Why did the piping go in the ground that they put in the ground that doesn't last in the ground? Because they knew they were going to be able to put new piping in, so they put piping in that they deliberately knew wouldn't last as long.
It's like called planned obsolescence.
Planned obsolescence.
It's like women's nylons. Although women don't wear as many nylons as they used to.
That's right. It's television sets, it's microwave ovens, it's the light bulbs are supposed to last for 10,000 hours continuous.
Yeah, right.
They won't do it. And then infrastructure is the biggest problem our nation has, and it can't be fixed. Like I said, this was done before she was born. Before she was born, when her parents were young people. You know, back when I was basically surfing the beaches before they were surfing, that's when the infrastructure was going in. I used to marvel at the 2-lane highways that they were putting in out here. And then, you know, it's like $10 million a mile to put in today. 10 million.
Is that how much it costs?
Yeah. The minimum, I did a thing, I don't have it on this computer, about infrastructure. Average cost across the United States is between $1.5 and $11 million a mile.
Wow.
That's why they said $2.2 trillion, not to replace our roadway system, to repair our roadway system.
Wow.
Like I think $1.5 trillion, not to replace our bridges, to repair our bridges. You can't afford to take them out and put them back in because you're looking at a decade for anything to get done.
Wow.
Yeah. I understand why people hate unions and environmentalists so much. This could have been done a decade ago when it needed to be done, when the money was available.
But sometimes it's, you know, you look at some of these things in I mean, let's just say, the codes are there for a reason. For example, earthquakes. We're in Southern California.
Yep.
So if they didn't have those codes, when we have an earthquake, there'd be a lot more casualties.
Yeah, but the problem is it's impossible to retrofit a building.
I know. So part of it is if you have to retrofit it, not only is it a pain, it's almost impossible, but you almost have to start from new, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, basically, my father was very construction. He was very happy to put new things into construction. He did not like retrofitting, because retrofitting, we got Bob Vila fired over at this old house because he told him you can't do it. You can't take that thing and make it work for what you have.
Is that one of the reasons why it's too expensive to go green for the White House and
Because
Congress?
they can't, the White House was built, and basically it was built before 1812, burned in 1812 and rebuilt. And then basically rejiggered in 1948. They took the White House completely apart under Harry Truman and put it back together again. But you can't do that today. In order to go green, you're going to have to take everything. You're going to have to take the whole building apart. In order to go green, you have to take the Capitol building completely apart. You have to take the Rayburn building completely apart. They cannot figure out how to justify the billions of dollars it's going to cost. I mean, they want, here's a good one. Well, you have to understand, the military has to set the standard for going green. We need the Pentagon to go green. It's the god-awful biggest building on the planet. It's not only here, it's underground. And it's basically built to withstand a hit by an airplane, which it did do.
Well, you know, the biggest challenge about being green is there's a lot of very good attributes. But if I think about like cleaning materials that we use, if we use a green product, it usually doesn't work as well as something that's
Oh,
non-green.
no, I mean, we've got,
Unfortunately,
it almost always takes more of the green product. It's just like
and it
a
doesn't work as well.
low-flow toilets, for instance, are built to help, help the environment and help the infrastructure by using less water. Well, you have to push the toilet more than once, which means you're using more water than you were before.
Before you had the low flow?
And the low flow costs you more money to put in. I mean, you can run $5,000 for a low flow toilet, folks. But we're talking another example of infrastructure. This structure here is built basically World War II. It's all on cinder blocks.
Which the people that come here love it because there's this huge area for them to crawl underneath.
Yeah.
But-
The building, in order to fix the infrastructure properly in this house, it has to be lifted up off the ground and a new foundation put under it. Because this house doesn't really fit, none of the people, this would be a military base for this place is setting, which gives you the hint. If you were here in 1938 to 1946, you know where it was at. I used to go up on the side street and the woman, captain's wife would give me oranges with my brother off the trees over here.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, we got a street that goes nowhere. It goes nowhere because it used to be part of the property. There was fruit trees over there, but this was this facility was built and it's been rebuilt and rebuilt and rebuilt. But underneath it is a garbage dump. And cinder blocks are sitting on a garbage dump, a military garbage dump. This
And we live in
place,
California, which is subject to earthquakes. In other words, the ground moves.
yeah, it basically, I have fixed every crack in this place and they're getting worse. Because every time we don't work on, the doors got out of whack because of the last movement. I said, well, I'm told we don't need to shave on the doors because it's gonna move again. It did, and then the door's all closed now. But, can you imagine what it would cost to lift up, okay, let's see, there's
Well, see,
8 million homes in Los Angeles to make a
it's expensive enough to lift up one home.
Yeah, we're talking 8 million homes would have to probably be lifted up in the air to put on, and this is what Obama and the Democrats would like you to do. Make your house more green. Well, where are you gonna get the money to lift 8 million homes up in Los Angeles County?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can't be done. And we have seen people, basically, they start out and it's such a disaster, they end up totaling the entire place and then putting a new place in because it's cheaper. And I was talking to some of the people in business. We'll put one guy that's got more money than sense wanted to show people he's going to go green, so he bought a new house and wanted it all green between the time he sold his old house, was supposed to move in, and so they told him, we told you that this has to be done, this has to be done, this has to be done. You wanted all of this done, and we can't do it in the time you gave us. Well, I have to move in. He said, you're moving into this place. Like 6 months later, they're still working, trying to make his house green. They're trying to retrofit. This is the infrastructure. If you start trying to retrofit, this stuff is under people's houses that weren't there when the pipes were put in. Which means you have to go like what they're doing on, the Washington Boulevard. You got to tear the whole cruddy street out. Or up by,
Well, and part of it is they would have to take out all of the piping, right, that feeds off to everybody.
What they do is they can't go under the house, so they have to tear the street out, put new piping in to fix, and then feed off to this is the way it's gonna work. As they do it, which is very godly expensive, because they shut down all the traffic for miles on the road, they're feeding new stuff into old infrastructure. I can tell you what that's like. My father built a place. He hooked up, the plumbers hooked the new infrastructure from the place up to the old infrastructure under the street. It didn't last.
Yeah, but they're not gonna have much choice, they're gonna have to do that. I mean, look at San Bruno.
Yeah, but they have to do it. But my case is, I have a huge problem with claustrophobia. The connection came apart, and basically we were blowing a hole everywhere. And we shut the water all off, and I'm crawling in. I'm in the street where semi trucks are going over the top of me, trying to get underneath there to refit a new gasket onto the old infrastructure that was broke. I sat there and had to take a cutter, a tube cutter, and do like this. I'm sitting there with a shovel digging my way out, with a thing going over, and I'm taking it, because I was the only person small enough to get into that thing. We're talking, this is, 7 decades ago, and we had infrastructure problem then, because the old system in Los Angeles had been there since before the turn of the century. And the new stuff they didn't have rubber gaskets that you could do this with. You had to go fit a coupler onto it. What happened was the wrong size coupler had been fit on, and the natural bouncing of the semis up the butt busted the coupler. So I had to go put another coupler on, fasten the whole thing together, and then shovel all the dirt back in. I go out, I shovel dirt in, I go out, and you want to really know what fear is? It's being in a hole like this with a pipe and semi-trucks going over.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
That does not
It did not make me feel good whatsoever.
Oh.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we're hearing trucks outside as you're talking about it.
I know, the trash trucks, but that was an infrastructure problem 7 decades ago. Multiply that by today. You're going to try to fix the brand new polystyrene, the new reinforced concrete, the brand new everything into the old stuff that is on your house. It's not going to match up, no matter what you do.
Yeah, but part of it is they've got to do something because it's what happened in San Bruno.
It's caused, what they're going to have to do is those people in San Bruno are going to find out, okay, you think that PG&E is going to pay the expenses of that community being leveled? No. The people in the level are going to have to pay higher prices. They're going to have to basically, the city can level a tax on them to replace the sidewalks that have to be torn up, to replace the road that has to be torn up.
And right now, they don't have any home to live in for some of them.
I know. So basically it's hundreds of millions of dollars for new homes. The place that's blown out, oh, that's real simple. We can put new pipes in there real easily. But they won't, because they're going to use the street, because, like I said, homes, most of the people, like we wanted to put a fence in back there. We had to wait. We had to get the people come out to find out where the lines were, because they no longer have records where lines are anymore. Where the pipes on the ground.
Oh, that's right. They do have a phone number here in LA where you call them up if you're going to do something, so that they can mark where all the lines are.
Because they no longer have maps that tell you where anything was. They have to come out with equipment to find where things is. And sometimes, like in this, there's a zig out there in the back where I put a fence in like this. It should be like that, because somehow they zigged, and there's a pipe running right underneath where I needed the fence pole to go in deeper. And basically what they do is they come out and they do this, and you sit there, oh gee, that's neat, how did that happen? Isn't that supposed to, I know, but for some reason it's like this. Well, it's not supposed to be like that. He said, well, obviously there was a reason for it doing that, but where they did like that was where the stupid fence pole is going in, because you try to lay them, you don't want it to be like, so you drive a straight line, well that straight line hit the little, so. But nobody knows anymore. I mean, I remember I looked at my uncle's stuff a long time ago. He actually had all of the plans for Highway 70.
Oh, he did?
He knew where every single thing that was under the road had went, because he had all the drawings. But somewhere along after Uncle Herb died, it vanished. That was the only copies I know of in existence that told you where every single utility
Oh, really?
was on the road and off the sides of the road the entire way. They don't exist anywhere anymore.
Wow.
So like I said, here's the trick is you have to do it, but you don't have the money to do it. So you know what happens if you don't have the money to do it?
What?
It don't get done. They can bitch up a storm, PG&E will keep them tied up in years, and then PG&E will simply do the environmental impact thing. So they'll replace what was destroyed.